back, sports fans. This is another edition of Sports Chat, Channel 42. I'm your host, Danny Lamonte, and I'm here with Ware County coach Franklin Stevens of the Ware County Gators. Welcome, Coach Stevens.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here today.
All right. Just want to talk with you a little bit, Coach, about the upcoming season, about yourself, and get the fans acquainted and getting them to know you a little bit better. Could you tell me a little bit about yourself and your coaching background?
Well, I started coaching back in the late 90s, I would say, with Coach Fallour in Burke County and Mike Fallour and Nick Davis as well. And then I left there, and probably where I really began to grow as a coach was down in Canada with Coach Aaron. Spent several years down there with him and as an assistant, and later on became defensive coordinator. While I was there, we were fortunate to win some region championships as well as a state championship, and Coach Aaron provided me pretty much with the blueprint that we try to use within every program I've been in since. And after I left Canada, I became the head coach up at Tucker, and we had some success up at Tucker, and left Tucker after 5 years and went over to Lamar, and we had two pretty good seasons over at Lamar.
Okay.
So after 2 years there, we're kind of wearing the green and gold down here in the swamp now.
Okay. That kind of leads me into my next question. Everybody's excited about having you here and your family. Just kind of tell the fans a little bit about how the transition has been for you, getting here in the community or what have you.
Well, at first I kind of came by myself, and then my wife and kids came when school ended up in Barnesville. But it's been a heck of a transition because of the fact that we've had a lot of success. As I said, Ware's had a lot of success over the years, but what we're asking them to do now, they've never been exposed to, and that's kids and even parents, just the requirements that we're putting in and the dedication, the commitment that you've got to have really to just get over that hump. And with the new schedule, there's got to be a lot of dedication, a lot of work, a lot of commitment, and just that overall chasing excellence, because of the fact that unfortunately I'm not knocking the one, but if you look at our schedule, we've got to be playing one of the tougher schedules. And if you look at the front end, when you got to line up against Valdosta, for even though it's a scrimmage, you still got to go line up against them. Brooks, who can beat anybody on any given time, kind of think of those guys as giant slayers, and got an opportunity to watch them last year. Then you play Manatee, and for the people who don't know anything about Manatee, you just kind of got to look down the list and in college and see the kids they've got playing on the next level, as well as what they've done the last couple of years. And then you got Coffee. The thing about Coffee is they've kind of beaten us the last couple of years, so that's going to be a heck of a game. And Richmond Hill is one of those games last year that somehow we figured out how to survive. So those are our first really 5 opponents that we're going to deal with. Although Valdosta is a scrimmage, you still got to play against them, so you got to go out there and compete against them. And I just think the preparation that you've had in the past, you're not allowed to have that preparation. Well, I could be wrong, but I just don't think that facing those guys and facing that kind of schedule, you can really take things for lightly. And that's one of the things we're trying to convince the kids on. It's not about the activity, it's about getting things done.
Right. Well, that's great to hear. I mean, you guys do have a tough schedule. I looked at it, and I mean, I'm not a football guru, but I just know the games I'm looking at, I'm like, well, he's not taking a break off the first year, so it's going to be tough.
It's a heck of an inheritance.
Yeah, it's a heck of a thing. And like I mentioned before, you just get into the community, you're meeting a lot of people, you're meeting a lot of organizations. How supportive has everybody been here in Waycross, Ware County?
Well, I think there's a contagious enthusiasm here. Everyone is excited about it. Just the possibilities. And really, we were in that honeymoon period on, whereas everybody was just so excited about one another. Whereas here in a couple more days, the doubt is getting ready to come in. The test is going to start happening, and as they said, the rubber's going to meet the road. And we'll see how the excitement goes after that. But it's one of those things. Whereas just trying to get even our kids and everyone to understand, we're at a different period. We're not seeing some of those previous teams that we've seen in the past. And the other thing is, we're still trying to teach kids a new system. Maybe we're in place 2 to 3 years. Coach Pruder's been over at Coffee for, I think this is maybe going on his 3rd year, so they're kind of established over there. Coach Freeman's been down to Brooks forever, and they're very established. And Manatee, I know they have a little bit of a transition from my understanding, coaching-wise, but I think it was a guy on staff. So to an extent, they're familiar with everything they're doing, whereas with our guys, we're trying to teach them a new offense, we're trying to teach them a new defense, and we're trying to teach them new special teams, a new way of doing special teams. There's a lot of teaching going on as opposed to just repping out familiarity. So I just feel like right now, we're kind of behind the 8 ball. Some of the growth that we had to go through this summer with just kids, just kind of get them to show up and work. We're having to just catch up on things that normally we're rolling. We're rolling, and we're not machine like yet.
Well, that kind of answers my next question. You kind of answered a good bit of it. Every head coach brings their own system, their own philosophy. How deep do you go with that philosophy? Do you go down to the 7th grade, 6th grade, 8th grade? A lot of fans want to know, how do you actually implement that?
Well, right now we're in the middle school. I think we've got the entire, she said, both middle schools are aligned with us. The same terminology and systems that we're using offensively, defensively, special teams, they're using at the middle school. I know everything about it. And the great thing about it is we're fortunate here that we're all on the Huddle program, which is everything is up on the computers. So I actually can go in and see what some of the middle schools are doing if they're filming practice. The middle schools can go in and see what we're doing. So it's really a give and take relationship. How deep are we going? We really like to get down into the rec department. I know there's a lot of guys that are doing their own thing, but if we could get guys down in the rec department and start doing things the way we're using our terminology, all that is just creating that machine where kids understand what to do, they're familiar with it, and now it becomes more rep and more detail oriented when they get older.
Right. Well, I know a system takes players. It takes good players. It takes role players. Do you anticipate having a lot of key players coming back from last year's team that's going to support this year's team?
Well, we have a lot of guys coming back, and we have some good players. The thing about it is we're probably going to play more guys both sides of the football in the past. And that's another philosophy that's a little bit different. In the past, you haven't had a lot of guys play both ways. Well, we train our guys. You're not an offensive player. You're not a defensive. You're a football player. And, we're trying to maximize your potential on the football field. If you can help us win on this side of football, we're not going to have you standing beside us on the sideline. And, we try to train those guys to be two-way players. And, some of those guys, they'll get limited breaks in regards to playing on both sides of football. But some of those guys, they'll spot play on both sides of the football. They may start on this side, but they may end up getting snaps on the other side of the ball. Whereas we're going to have certain guys now, they're going to be a two-way player. I've always believed that we're going to put our best guys on the football field. And on Friday night, that's important. I just think we owe it to our community. And if we're going to represent our community, we need to represent them in the best way that we can. And that's by putting the best product that we can on the field. And that's putting the best players on the field. We try to use Wednesdays at the middle school and Thursdays, JV and 9th grade, to make sure that everybody's playing. But on Friday night, we're doing all we can to figure out how to win football games.
Well, that's a good way to increase your odds of winning. So that's great. What about? I know lots of fans wants to know what type of offense that you're looking to implement in this system, and how would it look on the field?
Well, by now, everyone pretty much knows that we're a wing tee, and I like to kind of refer to it as being a hybrid wing tee because of the fact that we take different concepts. We take some concepts from option, we take some concepts from wing tee, we're taking concepts from spread teams. So we've got just different concepts that we put within our offense to try to be successful. And what we do is we try to tailor to different kids. When we're at Tucker, we had one type of kid. Well, I should say one type of kid. We had a couple of different types of kids, and we tried to really tailor the offense to meet the needs of those guys. Then when we got to Lamar, it really wasn't quite the same, but we did have some guys who had a lot of ability, and we tried to tailor it to them. Whereas coming here, it's the same thing. We're still figuring out what can certain guys do, what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses, and use different concepts within the system to help those guys be successful and help us be successful.
And that's a great philosophy to have, because a lot of people see the offense as, they get excited about offense, but I know defense is just as important as offense.
Well, we're going to put more emphasis here probably on defense than we put on anything else. At this day and age, you just kind of pick up the paper, or really not even picking, the more you're looking at it online. But you're seeing scores. I look at the ticker on Saturday, and I look at the scores just to go across, and the points that are being scored are unbelievable. And a lot of people, they're just not really interested in playing defense anymore. They want to get the ball back on offense so they can go score. Get the ball back on offense. So, well, we're going to put a lot of emphasis on special teams, and that's one of the first things that our emphasis goes, special teams. I think I learned down with Coach Herron, if you want to know if a team is very well coached, just look at the special teams. So a lot of our emphasis goes in the special teams. I just think that's a quick way to lose a game within special teams. And then it goes into defense. You know, we may not shut everybody out, and we may not stop this and that. We may give up points, but the emphasis is going to be there that we're going to play defense. Offensively, we're going to do things to try to keep us out of bad situations.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that sounds like a good philosophy, putting both, you know, a lot of fans, diehard football fans, I think they understand that defensive philosophy first. That's going to be great. Either event, I think fans are going to love what they see.
At this time, people want to see those points go up.
Right.
They want to see the ball go up in the air, and they want to see points go up on the board. Whereas we're not trying to win games 44-40 or 44-42-35. That's not what we want right there. We want to keep them low scoring where we have a chance. Whereas if it's a big game, we've got a chance to win that game right there and keep everything close. Unless it's to our advantage to score a lot of points, but day in and day out, I'm thinking we're going to have to keep some of these games close and figure out a way to win them.
Yeah, Coach, let's talk about your first game. I know it's going to be a tough one. Could you give fans some kind of insight on the first couple of games, the season opener?
Well, I think if you look at Brooks, and you know, we kind of talked about it a little bit earlier. You've got Coach Freeman over there. He's done a tremendous job at Brooks over the years. I think maybe it was 2 years ago they went over and beat Valdosta. So that kind of tells you what kind of team and what kind of players that he's having. He hasn't shied away from playing some of the tougher teams in the state of Georgia, especially down south. Right. And he's going to have an athletic bunch. And, you know, the crazy thing about it is we're Facebook friends. So he's always putting stuff on Facebook that they're doing. You know, he's got kids in the weight room where he's doing certain things. And for the longest, we were in AA. So we're in AA together. So I was kind of seeing some of the stuff film-wise that they were doing over the last 2 years. But they're going to bring in an athletic, well-coached team that's going to think they can come in here and win a football game. So it's not one of those things where they're going to come in and be in awe because we're Ware County. They've gone over to Valdosta and played and won. So that's the kind of group that you're dealing with over there. And they're very athletic, especially defensively with length. They got a lot of kids who can run. They can run, and they do a great job of throwing and catching the ball. The next group is going to be Manatee, and right now I don't know a lot about Manatee. I just kind of the things I've read. However, I do know based over the last couple of years, they have a lot of guys who have gone to Division I, and not just Division I. They've been that bowl, what we call the Bowl Championship Series. So they've been the SEC kids, the ACC kids. They've been the Big 10, Big 12, or whatever you want to call them, Pac-10, whatever it is out there, Pac-12. I don't know what it is out there anymore. But there have been those types of kids that they've had in that program. So they're going to be, and I saw a little bit of them, but I know they're big up front. And they're very athletic behind those guys, and they're big. When I say big up front, they're big up front.
So we're gonna have to bring our lunch.
We're gonna have to do something. So you know, that's the thing that we're trying to get kids to understand. Hey guys, it's not knocking the, you know, we said we've been in that Savannah League. It's not knocking the Savannah League, but that competition from those two teams is not the same competition you're gonna see up there. And then you've got Coffee, who's gonna come in here, and it's the first region game of the year. Coach Pruitt, I mean, he's won a plethora of championships down in Florida, and he's over at Fitzgerald. He did a tremendous job over there, and you know he's doing a great job over there at Coffee right now. And you know, we saw them this summer a little bit, and I mean, they're built like a 6A team. They just came out of Region 6, and you just kind of look at, I shouldn't say Region 6, coming out of 6A, 1-6A. So they played, the competition that they played the last couple of years is just astounding. Been in that region. But you know, they're sitting there with I don't know, 130, 140, whatever kids. So they're built similar to a 6A school, and then they're going to be well coached. The kids are going to be strong. Like I said, we've had trouble, and I shouldn't say even trouble. They beat us the last couple of times we matched up with them, so that's going to be another heck of a football game. But the good thing about it is, you know, we're going to play Brooks here, which will be the first home opener. You know, hopefully the good Lord will bless us with health, and we won't have kids that are just injured. And then we go for a hot one on the turf at 6 o'clock on that Friday with Manatee. And that's going to be a different situation, playing on turf at 6 o'clock in the afternoon. That's going to be a smoking game that day. Along with the next week, she said 2 weeks later, we get Coffee home, which opens the region, and that should make for a heck of a night.
I'm looking at the schedule. As you mentioned earlier, it just seems to me that a lot of the games are a lot tougher. I'm not saying
it's the region.
I'm looking at looking at the games, and I see Statesboro on there. You know, I have a personal interest in that. I'm from Statesboro, but they've been known to be a good team.
They're going to be a good physical football team.
Yeah. So, how have you been really preparing your guys for this whole season? For these type of level teams.
You think about Statesboro, then you think about Glenn Academy, who we've seen this summer. I mean, they've got some big Coach Hidalgo. You know, he's had a lot of success up at Ware, and he's coming in and he's rejuvenating that group over there, and they've got some good looking kids. I mean, up front they're big and strong, and then you start looking at them at skill, and you start just wondering, wow, what's been the problem? But I just got a feeling he's going to do a good job. Coach Floyd, he's done a tremendous job. He's always going to do a good job. You know, Brunswick's over in Region 1, 6A, and they didn't have a lot of success, but it's been some battles year in and year out between Brunswick and Ware. So we expect the same thing to happen again this year. And eventually, you know, Coach Hill, he's going to get Bradwell on track, and then you got to deal with Effingham County schools, who are technically, I think, they're 6A schools. Yeah. So they're going to outnumber you. So right now, yes, we are behind the 8 ball, and what are we doing? We're just trying to take that approach to kids, get them to understand that, you know, you've got to practice, and your preparation got to be at a high level. Right. And right now, I don't think we understand the level we've got to practice day in and day out, and the work we've got to put in the weight room just to get your body ready to endure what it's getting ready to have to endure. Oh yeah. You know, like I said, if you're coming in with that attitude that, you know, this year's going to be like next year, or the previous years. That's probably not a good attitude to have. Yeah. And we've got to change that attitude. There's a new group here, and I'm talking about coaching staff wise. We're dealing with kids who, you know, they had a lot of success in the past, and sometimes when you've had a lot of success, that leads to false hope and false expectations. Right. And we're trying to change that mentality and the fact that, hey guys, you better pay attention to what's getting ready to happen, be able to see ahead and prepare that way day in and day out. Right.
Well, Coach, it's been great having you on the show.
No problem. Enjoyed being here.
I appreciate you coming. I think it's a great excitement in Waycross, Ware County about you being here. The kids are getting ready for the season.
We're just trying to hope that we can keep it.
Yeah. I think you will after the first game. You'll be able to tell. So. But is there anything else you want to tell the fans?
You know, just invite those guys, invite them out, and you know, when we're having the home games, let's try to just pack it out and really let the fans be that 12th man. I mean, last year we played in the semifinals, and I never forget this. In the semifinals last year on the coin toss with the officials, with actually just the normal talk you have in pregame with officials, you couldn't hear the officials. And they're standing from me to you, and that's the kind of environment. I understand that was a semifinal game, but we've got to figure out how to start just duplicating that. You know, I see the signs, and everybody talks about the swamp and all these different things right here. Well, when people come in, we've done very well here in the past. We need to take it up a notch, and that's by getting people in the stands and really getting them, you know, cheering, let's stand up and cheer. You know, if the person behind you want to sit down and watch the game, I'm sorry, just tell them you're sorry. You got You're cheering for that guy or that group that's out there representing this community, and then let's take that ideology and that thought process on the road. Let's start dominating on the road as well, and we've got to find out a way to win on the road here, and win big games on the road. And I think a lot of that has to do with your crowd. So I just want to invite those guys to come out and be that extra player for us in the stands. Okay. Well, fans, you've heard that. This is your host, Danny Lamonte, and this has been another edition of Sports Chat, Channel 42.